Pranam Guruji, Pranam Pahikam, distinguished guests, respected elders, brothers and sisters, good evening. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share tonight. I am deeply humbled and honored to be here. I would also like to express my appreciation and gratitude to Guruji Anand Krishna for always being such an inspiration, especially through his latest book and the translation of the Bhagavad Gita, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. Okay, so backtracking a bit, when I was in school, in 7th grade to be precise, we had to read and learn the Mahabharata in Sanskrit. So imagine me as a 12-year-old, and I'm trying to read Sanskrit as well as try to understand the concepts. As a 12-year-old, it went straight right over my head. So I was very happy to finally be able to read the Bhagavad Gita as an adult. And so far it has been a revelation. A lot of the big questions that I had as a child, they all made sense as I got deeper into the book. So chapter 2 or dialogue 2, Samkhya Yoga, is quite a long chapter and it covers a lot of things. However, this is a disclaimer that I will not be summarizing this chapter. Rather, I would like to take this time to share what I feel are key takeaways that resonated with me. So dialogue 2 focuses on cognitive reasoning, common sense, right logic, wisdom, scrutiny, and thorough analysis of the nature of existence. So one can say that Samkhya Yoga is actually a summary of the whole of Bhagavad Gita and probably why it is a long chapter. And Arjuna also very briefly already described the opening on what is the setting of how the Bhagavad Gita started. So currently Arjuna is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He's torn and trying to decide whether to wage a war against his kin, his teachers, and everything he holds dear, or to walk away. So to personify Arjuna, I am currently wearing Arjuna. So if you can see the wayang on me, this is Arjuna. So we are now in our own modern battlefield. So individually, either we are on a battlefield or we are also waging a war as a collective. But what's interesting is that even though the fight is not only physical, now is, as Pahikam has also mentioned, it's virtual. And most times the fight is within ourselves. So it's inside of us. So every decision that we make, we are caught in a web of reasoning, which means that we heavily rely on rationality, dry logic, bookish knowledge. And most times we forget to use our common sense, or what has been mentioned before, buddhi. So buddhi can be translated as intelligence. So in this sense, common sense we can say is intelligent reasoning. So what is Arjuna actually feeling at this point? As already mentioned by Arjuna before, he's trying to justify his inaction rather by hiding behind all of the moral arguments. And that is also what we do in our daily lives. And which goes on to, then he asks himself and he starts to doubt his own abilities, his own morality, and he also even starts to doubt his own judgment. Is what I'm doing right? Is this my duty? And then the Krishna or the Krishna in all of us always tries to remind us, we have to uphold our own dharma. We have to do what is right. We have to play our role in the drama of life. And in this particular moment, Arjuna is a warrior. So he has to carry out his swadharma as a warrior to uphold dharma. And something that he focuses on is focusing on the end result at this point, which is unknown. So I like to take up this point because a lot of us, or many of us, can relate to being a perfectionist, be it at school or at work. So we always wait for the perfect time to get the best result. And the result is, of course, not in our hands. Krishna, and I quote, says, "You only have control over your actions, not over the results, the fruits thereof. Therefore, let not the fruits of your actions be your motive. At the same time, do not give into inaction." End quote. So this has happened to me as long as my career. I usually wait for a perfect time to actually do something, to a point that my supervisors had advised me to actually get a result, I have to move and do something instead of do nothing. And then another one is Arjuna also starts to feel a lot of doubt and a lot of fear. This is something that all of us have faced very frequently now, especially during the pandemic. We are fearing for our jobs, for the future, everything that is uncertain. So we have this sense of attachment to the material world. Again, the material world is very temporary. So we are so, at this point, Arjuna is very afraid of what's going to happen to his kingdom, his kin. What are our teachers going to say? What are they going to think? So he's very attached to all of those things that are uncertain. And I resonate with this a lot because, and probably most of you as well, you always think about, what are my parents going to think? What are my teachers going to think? Oh, what about my friends? Especially if you're a teenager. What will my friends think? What will the neighbors think? So all of that is very tethered into our material existence. Attachment is the root cause of all sorrow. Whatever we are attached to, things and relationships, both are slipping away anyway. Nothing lasts forever. Yet in our ignorance, we seek peace and happiness from such fleeting experiences. And all of the doubts and fears that Arjuna has, or that we have, is all of our desires, hopes, expectations, obsessions, and so forth are all siblings that bind us with the ever-changing matter and material world. So he's so afraid of all of that. We forget to use our buddhi. We forget to use our intelligence. And we solely rely on our rationality, which it's a hijack of your mental, emotional composite, as what Guruji mentions, is the mind. And now, so as I mentioned, attachment is the root of all cause. I will move on to the next, the verse that comes right after this. It says, "Thus established in yoga, that is working without attachment to the result, and accepting both success and failure with even-mindedness, perform your duties, Arjuna. For indeed, samatvam, even-mindedness, is yoga." So here Krishna is reminding all of us that for us to actually overcome something, we must have even-mindedness. So even-mindedness, what I have understood from this is, we can't have even-mindedness when we are so deeply entrenched into our attachments of this world. So either we are attached to our ideals, we are attached to relationships, we are attached to anything that is material. But does that actually mean we have to renounce the world? There is one part that says asceticism, or being a sage, is a state of mind that is being consumed by and transforming into buddhi, or intelligence. It has nothing to do with renunciation of material possessions, house and family. It is renouncing our attachment to all of them. So once we do realize that we are not attached to all of these material things, only then we will really be free. So if we are free from our pseudo-identities, we get to discover our true self. And this only happens through meditation. So we become awake in our divine consciousness. That is the language that has been used by Guruji. And I really like this part, awake in divine consciousness. So not only are we just conscious, we are fully awake from within us, and we are connected to the divine. And to conclude, I would like to again thank Guruji, who has been our Krishna so far, and who is our personal counselor, who helps us to know what to do and help us get on the right path. That is all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.